broken, hurting, and confused people to follow him to places they have never seen before. Why? Because it's his deepest desire to set us free. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Galatians chapter 5, verse 1. He longs to break off the limits, labels, and insecurities that fill our hearts and minds. Every next step he asks us to take is an invitation to live in the freedom of his love, a discovery that without him we will never make. God is a loving Father who wants his children to live beyond the brokenness of this world, the brokenness many of us never seem to get free from. You see, God knows something we tend to forget. The greatest thing we can do for others is become the healthiest versions of ourselves. I can't love my neighbor if I don't love myself. And the reality is, very few of us have a healthy love of self. We love because he first loved us. 1 John chapter 4, verse 19. John, the apostle of love, reminds us that we can't give what we have yet to receive, and people in bondage can't lead others to freedom. So if you want to live a life that is not about you, you first have to embrace that following him is about you, but not in the way you think. It's about you awakening to life. It's about you discovering who God says you are. It's about you and finding freedom from your past. It's about you resting in his love. It's about you receiving the fullness of the finished work of Jesus. It's about you submitting to his lordship. God is most glorified when your heart is alive and free, and you can become that person only by following the cloud. So what is the cloud? Well, it's a physical picture of a spiritual truth hidden in the ancient story of the Exodus. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. Exodus chapter 13, verse 21. Can you imagine what that would have looked like? The entire nation of Israel following a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire by night. The presence of God leading them from slavery to the promised land. Of all the ways God could have led his people, he chose to do it through a personal and ever-present cloud. Because that is who God is, intimately personal and always present. This cloud represented his tangible presence. It defined their identity, surrounded them with his love, and led them into a land of freedom. From within this mighty cloud, he spoke with the gentleness of a whisper. Follow me, one next step at a time. When I move, you move. When I stop, you stop. Where I go, you go. Keep your eyes on me. Stay in step with the cloud, and I will lead you to discover who you are, who I am, and what you were created to do. Following the cloud is how I have learned to live my life, and how our leadership team leads our church. Listening to God's voice and following his presence by faith wherever he goes. And although I don't always understand what he is doing, I have learned that every time I have the courage to follow, I learn more about who I am, who he is, and what I am created to do. Every time I follow, he awakens more of my heart. With every next step, I see a little bit more of Jesus and become a little bit freer of myself. And that is the same journey I believe he is inviting you to take. A journey of the heart. When we read about the Israelites following the cloud from Egypt to the Promised Land, we tend to focus on the physical aspects of their journey, like wandering in the desert, gathering manna from heaven, and fighting the nations of giants. But what we often fail to realize is that the Exodus was really a journey of the heart. While God was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, through the wilderness and into new lands, he was actually leading their hearts out of bondage, through their fears, and into new lives of wholeness. The goal wasn't just to get them to a new land, it was to help them learn to live free as beloved children of God. Every physical next step was an invitation toward